Settled in England of the future, as seen in 1995 from 1965, the movie follows the life of the young 17-year-old man Alex Lillard, whose pleasures are listening to Beethoven, sex, and ultraviolence. He leads a small gang of thugs whom he calls his droogs. Alex narrates most of the film in Natsat, a slang composed of Slavic, English, and Cockney rhyming slang. The film projects the crime spree of his gang, his capture, and his attempt rehabilitation via an experimental psychological technique named Ludovico. Some fact of the title of this film is that the author Anthony Burgess chose the title A Clockwork Orange due to a Cockney expression he found interesting, as queer as a clockwork orange, which means very queer indeed, with or without a sexual implication. It indicates something bizarre internally but appearing natural or normal on the outside.
Natsat, a Russian word for thief, is the immediate slang in which Alex narrates the novel. In addition to the Russian influence, Natsat derives from several other sources. Romani, Cockney reading slang, the language of the criminal underworld, the English of Shakespeare, armed forces slang, and the Malay language familiar to Burgess. He aimed to create a timeless language to depict his dystopian future, perhaps the reason why the novel has such longevity. The language also removes the action of the novel from geographical location. Burgess viewed his use of Natsat as a brainwashing device, something that he writes about in You Had Your Time. The novel was to be an exercise in linguistic programming, with the exoticisms gradually clarified by context. I will resist to limit any publisher demand that a glossary be provided. A glossary will disrupt the program and fulfill the brainwashing.
A Clockwork Orange was intended to be a sort of tract or even a sermon on the importance of the power of choice. My hero or anti-hero Alex is very vicious, perhaps even impossibly so, but his viciousness is not the product of genetic or social conditioning. It is his own thing, embarked on a full awareness. These are the words of Anthony Burgess in A Clockwork Marmalade. In the book and movie, we are introduced to the Ludovico's technique, which is a way of turning bad people into good people, as a political move to win the favor of society in the next election. And this is the fate of our anti-hero Alex, but was it really effective? It turns out that it wasn't, because deep down Alex still has the desire to be ultra-violent and to do things that shouldn't be done in our society. Because he has been but he can't do these acts that he wants to do because he has been conditioned to feel sick when he sees or when he thinks about doing violence. This is because of the conditioning of the Ludovico's technique. And this makes us think that perhaps it is better to have a choice, even if the society is really screwed up or corrupted like Alex is, than have everyone in control with a good behavior than with not choice.
After Alex was convicted and submitted to Ludovico's technique, this treatment is now conditioning every action that Alex does. The effectiveness of this treatment can be clearly seen on Chapter 7, Part 2, where he is taken to a stage and tempted to perform violent actions. However, the feeling of sickness that this treatment causes to him avoids him to perform these violent actions, and instead he is now passive. In this same ceremony, Alex is asking if he is nothing more than a clockwork orange. The idea of a clockwork orange, as Carol mentioned, refers to something that externally seems like natural. However, inside it is like clockwork, and with clockwork being understood as something mechanic, it could be mentioned that inside Alex is like being programmed or controlled by external forces. In this way, Alice has no more capability of choosing. And well, as the author mentions, a man who cannot choose ceases to be a man. This is a characteristic of a totalitarian state, which is constantly trying to control everything that occurs in the society.
In conclusion, this novel by Anthony Burgos is a great story that tells us about Alex and his behavior at 15 years old. This story uses his behavior and his nature to treat the topic of violence at his age, which is related to the way he acts with his partners, that he also call them dudes, drugs, that mean friends, but more than friends, they are like his partners, because they act only as Alex says. And how he deals with them as a leader and the one who is in control, and how Alex is the one who is in charge of anything that the gang do. But this control also makes a reference to his responsibility to anything that he does to the gang to do. The movie uses many crude images as naked women, rapes, and constant types of violence to any kind of person, mainly to person who is old. And this also talks about the way he tries to make a change in himself in a way to avoid the jail, but this change doesn't make a real impact in him, because this is not a real change that he decides to do. It is more like a conditioning, because everything that he wants to do, he can do it, not because he don't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it. It's more like because he cannot do it. And this novel is recommended because this great story talks about many topics, mainly violence, and how a child of 15 years old can deal with it, and how this Ludovico technique can help, but more than help, can control people.